So today we are going into the end of old school Darwin Ortiz. We're going to have our last episode on Darwin. So buckle up. It's going to be a good time. It's some great magic. It's been a really fun ride looking at all this stuff. That's for sure. I've been feeling very nostalgic looking at all these old tricks. So let's just start with this first one and just jump right into the thing, and we'll talk about it when it's all over. See you in a second.
Let's do it.
You know, card manipulation is, of course, not the only field that requires great hand speed. Example, gunslingers of the Old West obviously require tremendous hand speed. Always thought, if I had been born in an earlier era, I might have been a gunfighter. That's why I'm going to challenge you to a showdown. Why don't you come on up here and join me?
Me? Why me?
Can I ask your name? Mike. Nice to meet you, Mike. Thanks for coming up. Mike, I'm going to challenge you to a showdown using my weapon of choice, deck of cards. But you know, in a game, they keep things honest by giving the cards a cut. So Mike, before we go on, I'm going to ask you to reach across, just cut over a portion of the deck the way they do in a card game. Go ahead. Any size portion you want. I want Mike to select a card. So Mike, as I spread through these cards, I want you to touch the back of one card. Oh, I almost forgot. Let me just do this, because that is going to be important later on. Just want that pocket empty. I started to say, as I spread through, I want you to touch the back of one card whenever you want. Now, I don't care whether he touches one near the top of the deck, or near the middle of the deck, or near the bottom of the deck. That's up to you, Mike. Just touch any card you want, whenever you want. I'll spread through them most slowly. Why don't you slide over forward a little bit like that? Go ahead. Anytime you feel like it, you touch one card. You're saying, which of these two? I'm not too clear. This one right here, you know, that choice is fine with me. But if for any reason you're having second thoughts, let me know now. We can put it back. You can take a different one instead. What do you
Couldn't
think?
be any more fair.
All right. Then, Mike, I want you to look at that card, show it to wherever you want, but don't show it to me. Okay?
I know that one.
Mike, I want you to, they're already impressed. I did that. Mike, I want you to put this card in your right pants pocket, but again, don't, in your right pants pocket. But again, don't let me see it.
Double check.
Right, in a moment, I'm going to place the rest of the deck of cards in my pocket. But first, Mike, I want you to shuffle the deck of cards. Shuffle as much as you want. Put the deck down whenever you're satisfied. Now, obviously, I can't find Mike's card in the deck because Mike's card isn't in the deck. But every card in the deck has one other card that is a perfect match in color and value. So the 9 of hearts has the 9 of diamonds. The 10 of spades has the 10 of clubs, the other black 10. A red 9 matches another red 9. A red 8 matches a red 8. I'm going to try to find the one card in this shuffle deck that is a perfect match for Mike's card. Because, put the shuffle deck in my pocket in a moment, I'm going to count to 3. When I do, I want you to reach into your pocket, pull out your card as fast as you can. Just pull out your card as fast as you can. Same instant, I'm going to reach into my pocket, run through the entire shuffle deck, card by card, till I find the one card I'm looking for, and I'll pull it out. So it'll be just like a spaghetti western. Be just like a fistful of dollars. I'll be Clint Eastwood, and you can be the guy that Clint Eastwood kills. Get ready.
Nice.
Get set. You don't want to. Don't put your hand in your pocket already. Oh, all right. Get ready. 1, 2, 3. You know, I could be mistaken, but I think that if these were 6 guns instead of playing cards, they'd be measuring Mike for a pine box right now. And keep in mind, Mike only had 1 card in his pocket. I had to go through the entire shuffled deck searching for the card I needed. Now, Mike, for the first time, would you let me see what card you chose? The 2 of hearts, a red deuce. Would you show it to everyone else? A red deuce. The one card I drew from the shuffle deck is the other red deuce.
I like that.
Trick. I like it too.
I just like it.
Usually a trick like that where you're just matching pairs, and there they match and that's it, and that's the whole thing. But with this, it's like, you know, he had the whole story, and he's going back to the gunslinger, and he got a couple good jokes in. You know, I thought,
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood, you get to be the guy that Clint Eastwood shoots.
He made a good, I don't know if I want to say story of it, but a presentation of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It wasn't
exactly.
just the deuces match. It's
Yeah.
like that's just kind of the kicker. The whole thing was just funny.
Exactly.
That was a good. I have to say that was probably the one out of all these we've seen I've liked the best so far. Then there's been a lot of great ones,
Yeah.
you
Yeah, I
know,
think
but
it's
I've liked
pretty
that
good.
one the best.
So this next one, it's a little bit more of a story. There's a little bit more of a story involved that it almost uses almost like a Hitchcock kind of technique to get to the end of it. But let's watch this one because I'd be interested to see what you think about this one, Steve.
Okay.
I like this
All
one
right.
a lot.
What's it called, buddy?
This is Appointment in Samara.
I got to start naming my tricks better names.
That's right. If you had a name like that,
mean,
that's
it
a
already
lot to live
sounds
up to,
like-
isn't it?
It already sounds like I'm going to be put in my place from the last thing I said about the last.
This deck of cards.
Whoa.
Remove the ace of spades. Look through the
We're
deck
not
until you
seeing
find the
video
ace
on
of
this
spades.
one.
Place
We're
the
seeing the
ace
desktop
face
right
up.
now.
That's okay.
It's okay. Hey, these things happen.
Hey,
These
it's
things happen.
okay.
It's real life.
Things happen. Come on.
Here we go. Perfect.
I want you to go through this deck of cards, remove the ace of spades, look through the deck until you find the ace of spades, and place the ace face up on the table. And when you've done that, keep looking through the deck to make sure that it's the only ace of spades in the deck, okay? You know, when ace of spades, just keep thinking ace of spades. Whenever I set out to create a new card trick, I always strive for extreme economy of motion. And I've always admired economy in any artistic creation, which is probably why my favorite short story is only half a page long. It's called The Appointment in Samara by W. Somerset Maugham. A merchant in Baghdad sent his servant to the market. While there, the servant saw death in the crowd looking directly at him in a threatening manner. The servant ran back, shaking, to the merchant and said, "Master, please lend me your horse that I may flee to the town of Samara and so escape death." The merchant lent him the horse. Later that day, the merchant encountered death and said to him, "Why did you threaten my servant?" "It wasn't a threatening look," said Death. "It was just a start of surprise. I was astonished to see him this morning in Baghdad when I knew that tonight we have an appointment in Samara." I think that Maugham's point seems to be that there's no escaping fate. I thought it would be interesting to put that theory to the test in a non-lethal context. For example, fortune tellers call the ace of spades the death card. Supposing Amanda were fated to select the ace of spades in a card trick, would she be able to avoid it? Patty, we'll find out soon enough. Patty, I want you to take that envelope out. Take out the envelope, put the ace of spades inside it, would you? Put the ace of spades inside and then just seal it shut. Just lick it and seal it shut, okay? I would do it myself, but that stuff tastes awful. Let her do it. It's true, isn't it? It tastes awful.
Okay.
Now, also, the other reason I don't do it myself is that if I did it, some people wouldn't trust me. That seems to be my fate in life. Now, just in case you don't trust her, I'm going to ask you to take this pen, write your initials on the
seal?
flap or the seal. That's terrific. Put a circle around it. I want to show her what a circle looks like.
That's funny.
And since I don't trust anyone, I am going to install a security device on my wallet. And in case you don't trust us, I want you to put your right hand on top of the wallet like that. Absolutely perfect. Now, I'm going to ask you to select 4 cards from this deck, face-up deck. You can pick any ones you want, but just to play it safe, don't choose any aces at all, and don't choose any spades at all, okay? Other than that, you can just pick any cards you want. I'll spread, and you touch one that you want. 6 of hearts, that's a good choice. Would you touch any other one? Not that, you see there's a spade. Oh, that's very dangerous. The card between the ace and the spade. You see how fate tries to tempt you, but that's okay if that's what you want. Touch another one, would you? Oh, you almost touched the 2 of spades, didn't you?
Almost, but not quite.
That attention deficit disorder thing, we got to work on it. One last one. It's up to you. Yeah, there's 2 aces together. They're there to tempt you. What did you touch? I wasn't paying attention. I apologize. The 5 of hearts, okay? So, in this battle between fate and free will. So far, she has had complete freedom of choice. But to avoid tempting fate, she chose a 6, an 8, a king, and a 5, but no ace. She chose a heart, a diamond, a club, and a heart, but no spade. I'm going to ask you to narrow it down a little further because I'm going to ask you to eliminate 2 of these cards. 3, actually, but start with 1. Keep in mind as you point to it that you're not selecting a card, you're eliminating it. This one got a little bent for some reason. Go ahead. Point to the one you're going to eliminate. Eliminate 1 more card for me, would you? Okay, now, very important choice. Eliminate 1 of the 2 remaining ones. Now, the most fateful decision of all. I will allow you, if you wish, to exchange this card for any one of the 3 that you eliminated, but only if you want to.
No.
Then to seal your fate, would you place your left hand on top of that card? There's no turning back now. So Amanda eliminated the king and the 8 and the 6. Meanwhile, Patty has been guarding that ace of spades with her life. Patty, I'm going to, they're both at stake. As long as I'm safe, that's all I care about. Would you lift your hand?
No.
Don't worry, she's the only one at risk. Really, she's the only one at risk.
Sure.
We're safe.
Okay.
Would you verify that those are your initials on the envelope?
Yes.
Would you pull out the envelope? And would you verify for everyone that that envelope is still sealed? Is it still sealed? Now, you remember that she placed the ace of spades in the envelope herself. You remember that she sealed the envelope herself. You remember that Amanda initialed the envelope herself. Amanda, it is time for your appointment. Would you lift your hand? I don't blame you. You can't escape fate. You can't escape it. Tell me, is that the ace of spades? Is it the ace of
That's got some potential.
I like that one a lot, man. That's a showpiece. That's good.
That's got some potential to it. I like it.
Yeah, that's a standout in my mind. And I've been waiting to play it, but it's, it was, as you know, it's a little bit longer clips. I've been trying to make it.
Yeah.
It's been so much good magic, So finally was able to make it work today.
Surprising.
Yeah, a real good surprise, right?
And the story matches it so well.
Right.
And I like the way he didn't take the story and felt this need to plaster the story on top of the trick. He just kind of put the story out there. It's like, hey, there's this thing I heard, whatever. Just kind of set it out there,
That's the best, right? That's like the best way to have a story trick work, in my opinion.
It definitely feels more, I don't know, authentic in a way.
Yeah, it's organic. It's like it's natural.
Yeah, it's like, it doesn't feel so forced.
That's it. It seems like, I remember having a lesson with a famous magician, and he said that young magicians have this problem that they like, it's like Vernon's idea, the Vernon touch, like knowing when to be natural and how to keep it as natural as possible. And he said that a lot of younger magicians, he made a big joke about it, but the joke was that, younger magicians will get ready to begin a trick and they're doing the, hey everybody, how you doing? And, it's time to do the magic. On a recent trip to China, I picked up this artifact, right? And it's like there's a clear line in the sand as to when that magic started, right? And when you're doing good magic, I think this was Vernon's point, the Vernon touch was that you are so natural that there's no delineation. They never know when the magic starts, and all of a sudden they just get smacked with it because the mystery just crept up on them. They didn't expect it, and that's better. That's just better.
I had a student, let's say, and he felt so strongly that he could not do any mixing or mingling with the people before the show.
Oh.
Because they could not see him before the event.
Aha.
And so he would set everything up and then just sit behind the backdrop.
Wow.
For the whole night.
That's interesting.
Until it was his time.
What a choice.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's kind of like that, right? It's like you're making a choice that's not. So if you take that, if if you take that story and you just plaster it on top of it, it's like this really forced thing. And it's the same thing there. It's like you're just forcing that. You know, that's not what the surroundings dictate. And
Right.
so I think it's really important when you do a story trick is, you know, it has to be for the situation that you're in. And that's a great way to handle it right there. I mean, he just puts the quick little idea out there.
Gary is asking in the chat, why is that wrong?
Why
That's
is
a good
what wrong?
question? It's probably sitting behind the backdrop, you know, when you have this
Well,
opportunity
first of all,
to meet your audience, you know.
First
sorry.
of all,
Yeah.
first of all, you can do anything. You know, anybody can do anything they want. You know, I'm not saying I have the way, but to me, it doesn't. It feels unnatural for the circumstance. Okay, if you're in a theater, right?
That's different.
Where that's different, and that's where that's appropriate, I think.
Right.
But if you're just going to be providing some entertainment after dinner,
in
it's
a
kind of
banquet
like-
hall or in
in a
someone's
banquet
home.
hall, it's like, where are you going to hide? Like, what's the, you
Right.
know, it's, and plus, aside from that, it's much better for you to be out trying to meet as many people as you can, just because it's going to make when you eventually do get up there, they're going to love you by then. You know what I mean?
That's
And it's
right.
gonna just be
Well, I think the reality
way
is the
down.
more FaceTime you can get with them, and the more they can get to a place where they realize that you're there to have fun with them, the more
Yeah.
they get into that vibe. And when everyone starts to, it's like being in a comedy club. When one person starts laughing, it gives the rest of the room sort of permission to start laughing.
Yeah.
I think with good entertainment, you know, it's sort of infectious. People they go, wow. People go, wow. And, you know, all of a sudden the whole room is with you, and it creates an energetic vibe that I don't think you can create it any other way. You know?
And yeah, and I also think in that situation, if you're just sitting behind the curtain waiting like that, in that situation, it feels like inappropriate in a way. Like that doesn't feel right. If you're in a theater, right, where everyone's going to sit down and the show's going to start and then you come out, then that feels appropriate,
Yeah.
right?
You know
But
what
in
would
a-
be appropriate if you were going to sit behind that curtain? Get an opener, get someone to warm up the crowd for you so that they're a little bit looser. So then when you come out, it's a different vibe. But generally in a show like that, there's not a budget to have that much entertainment. So it's, you know, you got to sort of do all the
Yeah.
heavy lifting in that regard.
But I think sometimes, I guess what I was getting to before we went down on a tangent was
Sure.
sometimes we try to do the story so hard that just having a story on the trick seems to be more important than the trick and what's going on, and you know,
That's right.
the
It's
story
really-
becomes the most important thing. as
That's
opposed to-
right. It's
What I
easy to
like
get
about what
lost in
Daryl
that.
did is he just kind of threw that little thing out there. It was a great story, which I don't think I've ever heard.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure other people have, but I've never heard it, and so I found
I
it
hadn't
very
heard it
interesting.
until I heard Darwin say the story.
Yeah.
Totally.
I thought it was very interesting, and it was short and easy to understand, which was cool. And then he did a trick, and the trick seemed to be like perfect. It was like the perfect accompaniment to the story.
And he had all those elements where everything is, even though it's not in their hands, it's on the table and they're in control over it. So it seems like it's just away from him. So just another level of impossibility of how are these things happening? He didn't have control over anything at any moment. It's strong magic.
Yeah.
And like you said, it just
Great.
there's enough things relate back to the story, so you go, oh wow, it was that little
just-
poem in the beginning
Yeah,
or whatever.
it's just
you know?
enough. I mean, it was
It's
just great.
enough. It's very cool.
Gosh darn it! Now I like that one better than all the other ones.
Good. I had a feeling you might. Well, let's check out a classic of card magic. This is Darwin's handling of a classic that we all know and love. If you've done a lot of card magic, you know and love this trick, or maybe you don't love this trick. But let's talk about it on the other end.
People often ask me how old I was when I first started working with cards. And I can tell you, I was pretty young. You know how most small children play games with little toy soldiers or Star Wars figures? I used to do the same thing as a child, only I didn't use action figures. I actually used playing cards from my parents' deck of cards. And I didn't play games like Star Wars. My favorite game was called Cannibals and Missionaries. Okay, I was a weird kid, I admit it. And whenever I played the game, I always used the 4 kings to represent the cannibals, because I figured, you know, K stands for cannibal. Okay, I was a weird kid who couldn't spell, I admit it. But I'll show you how I would feed playing cards to the cannibal kings when I played the game as a child. As I spread through these cards, Denise, I would like you to touch the face of any number card that you want. Don't choose a picture card because they look too much like cannibals. But touch any number card that you want.
Okay.
I'll keep going till you see one you like. You can take your time. It doesn't matter. The 8 of spades. I'm going to ask this gentleman right here if he'd step right up and also touch any number card you want. You're saying the 10 of diamonds? Okay. And Mike, would you touch a number card? The 2 of diamonds? All right. So we have a 2, a 10, and an 8. Those are the cards that we will feed to the Cannibal Kings. The 10 and the deuce we'll get back to, but the 8 of spades I will feed to the kings right now. I always discovered when I played this game as a child that you had to give the kings enough time to completely devour that card. But eventually, I would be left with only the 4 kings and no 5th card. You know, when I played this game as a child, I didn't even realize this was impossible. I just thought, that's how the game works. Now, I know that Mike also selected a card, so we will now feed Mike's 2 of diamonds to the Cannibal Kings. I'm going to place the 2 of diamonds in the exact center of the kings, in the sense that they're precisely 2 kings above the 2 of diamonds, 2 kings below the 2 of diamonds. So the 2 of diamonds is in the exact center with 2 kings on either side. Once again, you have to give the kings enough time to consume that card. But eventually, I would still have 2 kings above, 2 kings below, but no 5th card. Thank you. No, you selected a card also, although at this point I don't remember what it was. The 10 of diamonds, was it? So I'm going to take that 10 of diamonds that you selected, and I will feed it to the Cannibal Kings. Because we haven't given the kings much time yet, at this point we still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. But if we do give the kings enough time to digest that card, it's gone. It's completely gone. It's utterly gone. It's totally gone. Would you take a look at those 2 kings? And Mike, would you check out those kings? But watch your fingers. Don't get them caught in between. But then nothing, right? And nothing, right? And of course, that's precisely the problem. Because at this point, my parents would have to throw this deck of cards away. Because there were 3 cards missing from it. They never knew why. But I'll show you a trick that I didn't know as a child, because if you catch those 4 kings soon enough, you can still get those 3 cards out again.
It's great.
That was definitely the hardest thing we've seen him do all day. That was amazing, man.
Yeah,
really
yeah.
good. That display
great.
at the end is over the top. That's
Yeah.
he wins with that one, man. It's good.
God,
So good.
it's just, that was just so great. I rarely like that trick.
The problem is that there's always something where you go, I don't know about that, right? But there's the thing is so clean, right? He had those 3 cards. It was so clean. All of those insertions before and after were so clean. You're like, all right, do another one. Do it again.
Yeah. You're like, all right, I'm with you. Come on, buddy. No, I love that. That was fantastic.
It's really good.
Really, really great. Yeah.
Cannibal Kings. It's a weird trick. It's just definitely a weird presentation. And I love the idea of, the little story at the beginning. Again, when I was a kid, I was a weird kid and I played with cards, and it all fits in with like all of the things he's presenting, the guy that he presents himself to be. It all fits in, and it's plausible enough. You're like, all right, I'll go on this ride. I'm with you. It's good.
I thought that was fun.
Yeah, I did too. I did too.
Gosh darn it, if it's not fun, what are you doing?
I think that's the point, right? So if you notice, we saw at the very beginning that showdown, right? It was the gunslinger thing, going in the pocket. I'm gonna get it quicker than you. And we had a couple of ideas like that were in Card Shark. There's been a couple of ideas that in this current series of Scams and Fantasies that he's played with this different way of basically being in the pocket and have it be an effect and have it be hopefully stronger than the last time he touched the premise, right? There's another one here, and this is what we're going to close out with today. This one takes an old trick that we all know and love, and it sort of turns it on his ear and makes it into something different, but it uses this same sort of presentational ploy. I think it's very interesting, and so let's watch this one, and we'll talk about it when it's over. It's pretty cool.
All right.
I want you to check this pocket, make sure it's empty. Just stick your hand in there. If by any chance there is anything in that pocket, move it to a different pocket. There's nothing. Nothing at all. Okay. We're going to try something with just 2 cards. And to make it a little easier for you to follow, I will use a blackjack hand, because those of you who play blackjack know that the Jack of Clubs and the Ace of Clubs are a perfect hand. I'll mix them a little bit. I'm going to slip them into Mike's pocket. Now, in a moment, I'm going to ask Mike to reach into his pocket and pull out 1 card. Don't worry, Mike, you don't have to do it real fast like last time. No pressure. You can take out any card you want, as long as he only takes out 1 card. So, Mike, I want you to reach into your pocket, take out 1 card, look at it, and show it to everyone else also. You can show it to me also. There's no secret about it. The ace, okay. Then that means it's going to be your job to guard the jack. Don't take your eyes off that pocket. If I go anywhere near that Jack of Clubs, you alert the rest of the audience, okay? Now, I want you, Mike, to hold out your right hand low like that right here, because I'm going to ask you to guard the... Just do me a favor, hold out your other hand also. No, also. Okay. Sorry. Don't want to make... Okay. Hold out your hand like this. Okay. All right, that's perfect. I know, there's a lot of pressure on you, huh? Really tough. Glad all I have to do is the card tricks and sleight of hand. I'm going to ask you to guard the Ace of Clubs by placing your other hand, flatten your hand, and put that one on top. Okay. That one up, the other one on top. Okay. Oh, you're really good at this. Now, there's no way that I can manipulate the Ace of Clubs without Mike feeling me do it. There's no way that I can manipulate the Jack of Clubs without your seeing me do it. What I'm going to do is to cast my shadow over the ace. Mike, would you show the Ace of Clubs to everybody? You look at it, show it to everybody. This is the Jack. What do you have in your pocket? Take a look. Look at it, show it to everybody. Is it the missing Ace of Clubs?
That's fun.
It's 2-card transposition, right?
There you go.
It's pretty cool. I think it's a great quick trick. And when you're using the pocket like that, generally when you're doing a trick like that, it's like you put it down on the table, you put a glass on top of it, you put another one on top of the glass. That's like the traditional presentation you see with that. But with doing it with the pocket like that and have it with the blackjack hand, there's a gambling element that most adults can relate to. And when it's in their pocket, it makes it a little bit more personal. I think it's a nice touch on the whole presentation of that trick. I think it's pretty good.
So you know what that was great. I loved it. Do you know what was giving me a lot of anxiety? The guy put his hands down on the table, and then he felt like his hands were sweaty, so he was like drying his hands off. And then he put the card in there, put the other hand on top, and the whole time I was thinking, that card is wilting right now. That is going to be like an absolute mess when I get it back. But let's hurry up and finish this trick. Let's skip to the ending because he's ruining that card.
Did you see the appointment in Samara when that girl lifted her hand? She was so nervous about the whole thing. The card was like, it was like crumpled.
And you're just like, ugh.
Hey, that's why you get rid of the deck of cards at every show. I'm happy to make it just be burned up and be done when I'm done with the show because I'm not going to worry about things.
I do like 3 or 4.
Totally, man.
Yeah, 3 or 4.
I did a walk around show once that was in a big banquet room, and it's like they had it was like an awards thing, and then afterwards they're having dancing. Yeah. You've done that kind of show, and then they have a big pitcher of water on every table, and literally had a spectator right when the card gets put back in the deck. I spread the cards. They knock over the whole pitcher, and it kills the whole deck of cards. And I had a backup with me, but after that night, I was like, I'm going to start bringing half a dozen decks with me to every show.
Yeah,
I'm never going to worry about this problem ever again.
Yeah. I bring a brick. You know, most of them are not prepped or ready to go, but you know, I prep about 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, right.
You know, and
Yep.
then I've got 8 more in case anything could possibly happen. Or sometimes I just, you know, whatever. It's good to know you have that security, and it only costs you like $25 or whatever it is. You know?
That's right. Well, this day and age, you can get, you know, if you have a membership to any of the like warehouse clubs, you can get a deck of cards for almost nothing, right? It's like buying tissues. You know, I always have tissues ready. You know,
I've really over the last year though, I've really gotten hooked on this deck.
well, the CC deck has definitely spoiled me too. I'm buying more B stock cards than I ever have in my life, and you know, in a lot of ways, I feel like I'm broken for that. We'll see how it all goes when shows start up again, and I have to use bicycles too, because I'm not going to use these nice B cards all the time in a show. It doesn't make sense. So what are you going to do?
This is great, man.
Modern day magic problems.
You know, Daryl was a guy that growing up as a kid in the 70s and 80s, you know, he was around a lot. Darwin, I'm sorry. Yeah. And did I say Daryl?
Yeah.
Yeah, Darwin Ortiz. You know, he was around a lot, and it's just really great to just really take a deep dive on his stuff and just watch him for the magician he was, you know, or is.
Yeah, he's really outstanding. And, you know, I know we talked about it in the last session or two, but his newest book, Lessons in Card Mastery, really great stuff. It sort of takes the ideas that were in Scams and Fantasies and he elevates them even further. And he brought in a major tool that magicians love and really exploited it and is trying to wring out every drop in the thing. So if you love this stuff, you're not going to be sad if you buy that book. It's really an excellent book. I admit I am a super fan of Darwin, so, you know, I'll get everything he puts out, but great stuff. If nothing else, it will inspire your thinking in different directions, because Darwin he's trying to just push the envelope. I think he's just trying to go to new places with magic. And I think, you know, the stuff we've been looking at here, even though it's a little bit older, you can see he's constantly trying to go to new places with the stuff. And I think he's elevating by doing so. So yeah, really wonderful stuff. I really love Darwin stuff. He's excellent.